You are now watching the Ball and Beats podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode
of the Ball and
Beats podcast. You know, definitely a weird episode for you all today. Some folks are out of town, and I said, you know what? Let me bring Logan's on here with me as I got Logan to my right and Logan to my left. Logan, how are you doing today, sir? You know, Logan, I'm doing really good. You know, we have a lot of action to cover today. You know, March Madness, we're 1 week closer to the start. Spring training is going well. The NFL Combine is now come and gone. There's a lot of things we got to talk about today. Yes, we sure do. And Logan, how are you doing as well? Yeah, I'm doing great, you know. The sun is cold, moon is hot, quarterback's pitching the puck, and, you know.
What?
Hey, bro, all that good stuff.
Are you
I don't know
all
what
right?
they're talking about. Logan, what do you know about sports? What do I know about sports? I know as much about sports as y'all do podcasting, to be honest with you. We have a hater.
Y'all seen your TikTok
That's crazy.
comments,
What are you
to be honest?
talking about? TikTok loves us around here. Wow. Okay. We really have a BNB hater on panel today. You know, I think they're right. Podcasting equipment just isn't expensive enough. Wow. Well, Logan, looks like we're just going to have to roll with it. Any other podcast out there is better than this one. You know what? Hold the phone. Unlike what this Logan is telling you right now, you guys should go subscribe. Hit that push notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos, and you should also follow the social media. Don't listen to these guys. Don't give them the attention they seek. They're just a bunch of losers who will never make it in life. Especially that Spencer guy. He never shuts up. And that Asa guy. Oh, don't get me started on his NFL knowledge. Whoa. Hold on right there, sir. Spencer and Asa, neither of them are here to defend themselves. I mean, we know Spencer goes on his 30-minute tangents about how the Detroit Lions choke always in the playoffs, or how the Dodgers are ruining baseball. And we also know Asa, you know, how he just loves his golden Iowa corn. I thought you didn't even know about sports anyway. Why are you here? You know what? Everybody calm down here, okay? We have a show to do. Let's keep this professional, and let's get into what we have to talk about today, all right? Save the beef for off camera, please. We can do that, but as long as he apologizes. Well, Logan, wait until the end of the show to see if I will. All right. Oh, please. Okay, well, after this chaotic start here on this episode, let's get into what really matters here, and let's get into our first topic of the day. We're going to be covering, you know, the Dallas Mavericks and the LA Lakers, that massive trade from a month and a half ago. Well, you know, for one team, it just keeps getting worse and worse, and for another team, they're looking like a finals contender. Logan, what are your thoughts, sir? Yeah, Logan, you know, Kyrie Irving now out for the season with a torn ACL. Anthony Davis injured. Other players injured for the Mavericks. You know, Nico Harrison thought this was going to be all in to win now, and all it's done has gone right back in his face. You know, if I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan right now, I am burning fake Nico Harrison cutouts at the stake. You know, I am outside American Airlines Center right now with tiki torches. This is how bad it is in Dallas. You know, you look at Luka right now. He has finally got his rhythm with LA. LA, they are hooping right now. Dallas has literally nothing now. Kyrie Irving, out. Luka Doncic, you shipped off. Quentin Grimes, you shipped off. Dwight Powell, he's banged up. You literally don't have anything, Dallas. Fans, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry for you. I'm crying tears with you because Luka Doncic is that kind of player. He was supposed to replace Dirk Nowitzki as the greatest Maverick of all time. And offensively, he's the most offensively gifted player we've seen in a long time in the NBA. And what he would mean to Dallas, we already know they just went to the finals last season. Nico Harrison, your job isn't just on the line. You cut the line when you traded Luka away. And to be honest with you, I don't know how you get a job anywhere else in your life. It is maybe the worst mistake we've ever seen already at this point because the Lakers, they're now second in the West. They're second in the West since the move. They've only lost twice. They've only lost 2 games. And Dallas has completely gone injury bug across the roster. And, I feel for these Dallas fans, man. Kyrie, before he got hurt, he was a 25-5 guy so far this season. He was playing really good basketball. And his duo, Luka and Kyrie, they actually gelled together. Kyrie and Anthony Davis, it can work, but the problem is, Anthony Davis, without LeBron James, he is injured all the time. His first game there for you, he got injured. And who knows if he wants to play the rest of the season. He is banged up and still sort of in and out of the lineup, but it sounds like he wants to sit out the rest of the season now with Kyrie. This season is over for Dallas. And it was supposed to be the season for him to go win right now. We had the conversations earlier on this podcast when the trade first went down that Dallas, realistically on paper, we would talk about maybe won this trade right away in LA long term. Newsflash, that's not happening. LA is possibly going to make a finals run. And I wouldn't have thought that, at least this season, because they still need a big. LA still needs a big. The problem is, you just simply don't trade away your future to get older. You just don't do it. And I just don't understand Nico Harrison and his thought process. Granted, Luka was fat. Who cares? He was dropping 30 points off beer and hookah. If he didn't have beer and hookah, maybe he was dropping 45 a game. Who knows? But to be honest, Nico Harrison, you couldn't even sell me fries in the bag, to be honest with you, because I know they'd be cold and soggy. And that's all I got to say on it. Logan, what else you got to add to it? But that's all I got to say. Pivoting over here to L.A., L.A., they've found their groove now. Luka Doncic, it took him a while, but now he's found his jump shot, He's got his shot down. Others have stepped up to the plate. Gabe Vincent has stepped up. Jared Vanderbilt has stepped up. Dorian Finney-Smith has stepped up. As well, they're kind of switching out in and out their bigs, but Jackson Hayes now at the 5. They're getting used to it. There's still some growing pains here, but, this team's been on a hot streak, and you can't stop this offense of LeBron and Luka Doncic, 2 of the best offensive players we've ever seen in the NBA. And so far, it has worked out like a charm for the Lakers. You guys have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know how you guys even have a platform to discuss stuff you obviously have no knowledge about. Oh yeah, hot shot. Is that really how you feel? Well, what do you think about this trade, how it impacts those teams and the league as a whole? Do you have an opinion? Oh, I simply don't have an opinion other than you guys are just bad at what you do. You know what? I really, really cannot do this right now. I do not want to listen to 2 other Logans arguing this entire episode. Can't take the heat, I see. Oh, speaking of your heat, they blow. And look at the Warriors with Jimmy Butler. They're hooping right now. You know what? I already hear it enough from everybody else. You don't need to remind me, all right? But hey, at least the Pistons are hooping. They're 6th in the East right now. They just went on an 8-game winning streak not too long ago. You got to look back on how bad it really has been in Detroit. And I have to be honest, I really thought we were never going to see Detroit be over 500 ever again. They were at that point as a franchise. It just didn't seem like they had anything going for him. And then they drafted Cade Cunningham. You could see the potential in him early on. He got banged up early on. Last year, he missed most of last season. But he has found a different gear. In Cade Cunningham, he's not just a star. He's a superstar. He just happens to play in Detroit. And that's why they're the 6th seed. But I have to give Cade and, J.B. Bickerstaff a lot of credit, the head coach, coming over from Cleveland. Besides Kenny Atkinson this year for the Cavs, J.B. Bickerstaff has to be Coach of the Year if it wasn't for Kenny Atkinson. And other pieces as well that have stepped up. Malik Beasley really becoming the 2 alongside Cade Cunningham with Jay Ivey going down, who also finally found his gear this year and started playing really good basketball. Malik Beasley, he's now dropping 16, 17 points a game for the Pistons, and he's really that great 2 option. Jalen Duren, he's playing very physical down low, and he's actually playing really good basketball right now. Hypothetically, he's a Los Angeles Laker, but I digress from that because, the Lakers still need a big. But, this Pistons team, I think they're still a year too early. But if New York, Boston, Cleveland, if they have to match up with them in the playoffs, which I think they will, because I think the Pistons will be in the top 6. I don't see them in the play-in. I think they will be a top 6 team. They're going to have to take them serious. Detroit is dangerous. They're that sneaky team that can bite you. We saw it with the Pacers a couple years ago. We saw it with the Hawks before. I think the Pistons could be this team. Could be that 5th or 6th seed that randomly finds their way to the conference finals. Now, I think Boston and Cleveland are easily the 2 best teams in the East, as they've shown throughout all season. Granted, I did say the New York Knicks are going to make the NBA Finals, but this Detroit team, they're sneaky. I like them a lot. They're a lot of fun to watch. And Detroit basketball, it's only going to get better, I think, for Detroit. So Detroit, bask in it. You know, you haven't had this in a long time. You haven't really had this since 2008, 2007. So you got your star. It's Cade Cunningham. You got to keep him happy. Just like I never thought that people would watch this awful content that y'all produce based off that subscriber count on YouTube. That definitely is accurate. You know what, Logan? It is not about the size of the audience, you know? It's about the connection you have with the folks at home. You know, for real. You know, while we're at it, take a quick sip of this BNB water, you know? All of you who are watching, you should subscribe, hit the push notification bell, and you should share this content to everybody else you know as well. You know, we're going to pivot into our conversation, switch it up, go to the NFL Combine. That has now come and gone. And the conversation outside of the NFL Combine is the quarterback situation and Cam Ward from Miami. Everyone's talking about how he aced the interview process. He didn't perform at the Combine. But the conversation coming out of Indianapolis is he's easily the number 1 pick in this draft. Logan, I want to get your thoughts because, you know, we've had this conversation before on this podcast. Who really should go number 1 overall? Do you have Travis Hunter in it? You have Abdul Carter. But is really the quarterback the way to go? You know, Logan, we look at the draft year in and year out, and we see teams that do reach on quarterbacks a lot. You know, talking about these quarterbacks here, they aren't the greatest. They aren't the greatest. But teams who are at the top of the draft, Tennessee, Cleveland, New York, Giants, and the Jets at 6. You've got the Raiders as well. You've got the Saints. A lot of these teams, they need a quarterback. You know, in my personal opinion, neither of these quarterbacks in Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders are top 5 prospects in this class. I think Abdul Carter is the best. I think Travis Hunter is the second. I think Mason Graham is in there. I think Will Campbell from LSU, the tackle, is one of those guys as well. And I'm a big fan of that A&M edge rusher in Shamar Stewart, who we'll talk about a little bit later here. But you look at these quarterbacks here, the thing about Cam Ward, he's got the arm strength. He's got the poise. He's got the build. But here's my issue with him. He plays too relaxed. You know, once he gets that pressure, that NFL pressure, will he be able to take it? Who knows? To be fair, Miami, they didn't give up a lot of pressure. But when he was pressured, he held the ball too long. And, you know, you look at a team like Cleveland, where they need a quarterback badly. They just restructured Deshaun Watson's contract as well to save more money. But everybody knows Deshaun Watson moving forward is not going to be the guy in Cleveland. I think that's pretty obvious. And you look at Cleveland, what they like in a quarterback. They like the accuracy. They like to be able to stay in the pocket. That's a Shadur Sanders guy. In fact, you know, I'm higher on Cam Ward because I think he has the better upside between the two. But Shadur Sanders is the safer pick. It's crazy to say. And, you know, all of us on this panel have been haters before. But Shadur Sanders is the safer pick for day 1. He is, you know, the biggest question marks with Shadur is his arm strength. He doesn't have the stronger arm. But his accuracy is on point. He's more accurate than Cam Ward is. Specifically his short and medium passes. Elite. He's very shifty. He can be able to move around the pocket. Both guys are. That's one of their strengths. But the issue with Shadur is the mentality that he has. You know, they call him brash. You know, is he too elitist? Is he too, you know, is he a brat, quote unquote? Some people will be put off by him. Others are going to be saying, hey, that's confidence right there. Shadur Sanders has the confidence. Is it cockiness, though? We'll have to see. But all these teams at the top, they need a quarterback. Do they get it in free agency? We don't know. But I can assure you, regardless, depending on how free agency happens, Tennessee's taking quarterback at 1, unless they get their quarterback in free agency. If not, then I think they go Abdul Carter. And then Cleveland has the option of whoever they like more at 2. But one of these guys is going to be gone at least by the second pick. Which one? We'll have to see later on for our mock draft special episode. But, I think Cleveland and Tennessee and the Giants, like I said, there's other teams that can move up for one of these guys as well, depending on how the draft board falls. But there's a lot of guys here. Quarterbacks, overrated, but there's still a lot of good prospects, There's still a lot of good prospects. Yeah, I agree. This quarterback class, it is weak compared to last year's class. But if you look at the entire class as a whole, I think it's actually a very deep class. Specifically at the offensive line and the defensive line. I think that's where your best prospects are in this class. There's probably about 6 or 7 offensive linemen alone that have the chance to be legitimate all-pros at the next level. There's probably 3 or 4 of these guys that are going to go earlier than you expect as well, from preseason to now. So, what are some guys we expect, Logan, that we think could get picked earlier than expected? I'm going to start with you, Logan, over here. You good, Logan? Yeah. Just bored for real. What do you want to talk about? I just want to hate on you and all the guys on the podcast. Spencer, Asa, Cam, Andrew. Specifically that air fryer guy. It's a toaster, dog. You know what? Hold up. You do not need to disrespect Christian like that, all right? Yes, he enjoys his Popeye's biscuits, okay? But you do not need to disrespect the man who isn't even here to defend himself. Let's just move on. Come on now. Well, since that Logan wants to be a hating scumbag and not chase after his own dreams, I'll start off my own list here of combine winners, starting with Shamar Stewart, the A&M edge rusher. He had the best combine performance we've seen from a defensive edge, ironically, since Myles Garrett out of A&M. He was already going to be a guy in the first round, mid-tier first-round pick. Now, it's kind of hard to see him making it past the top 12. He ran a 4.6 40. He had a 40-inch vertical as a defensive end. That is absurd. The combine, every year we look at it and we're like, how much does it really matter? Some guys, it matters a lot, and for Shamar Stewart, it does, because he didn't have the production like some of the other defensive ends we're going to see in this class. But sometimes traits matter more to these teams. And this is a trait guy. A team like San Francisco at 11 loves traits. San Francisco could draft him. I don't see him getting past the Falcons at 15. I think that's the latest he could possibly go. But I love the fit of San Francisco at 11 to pair him opposite of Nick Bosa. Or the team before, if offensive linemen are already gone. And honestly, Chicago's kind of already hit the offensive line market in trades and free agency already as we speak. Maybe they get an edge rusher like Shamar Stewart to pair opposite of Montez Sweat for them and make a great defensive line there for the Chicago Bears as they're already trying to work on that offensive line. My next winner is the safety out of South Carolina in Nick Emenwari. It's weird, the last name to say. I get it, Emenwari. I don't know how to say it, but that's how I'm going to say it. He had one of the best combines for a safety all time. He had a 43-inch vertical. A 43-inch vertical is absolutely absurd. His broad jump, 11'6". Everyone had the talk about Malachi Starks. He was supposed to be the safety, the number 1 safety in this class. I don't know if it will be anymore when it comes to draft night. There was already kind of a bit of a debate, but with how his combine was for Nick Emenwari, I see him going as early as Miami at 13. Maybe even another team could reach for him. But Miami at 13 makes a lot of sense. They will need a safety. Javon Holland is going to probably leave in free agency. I could see Minnesota down at 24. That would be a good fit. I could also see some other teams, Green Bay maybe at 23, Seattle at 18. Some of these other teams that just need a safety. You could easily see both these guys going in the first round, but don't be shocked if the South Carolina safety might not be the first safety off the board. And my last winner that I have is the receiver out of Texas in Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden, he's been a quick riser here since the end of the regular season and really end of the playoffs here. He could be one of the first receivers taken off the board. He ran a 4.29 40. Some of these teams, they just love speed. Don't get me wrong, Matthew Golden, his route tree, very underrated. You know, you have other guys. You have Luther Burden. You have Emeka Egbuka. Obviously, it's led by Tetaroa McMillan, but Matthew Golden could be taken before all of them. He could be the first guy taken. Maybe Carolina at 8. Maybe the Jets at 7. I could see him going. Thing is, the range here for these wide receivers, it all just depends on what teams value him. He could go as late part of the first round, like a Buffalo. But he could go as early as, like I said, the Jets or Carolina. You know, there's a ton of guys that stand out in this class. And to be fair, like I said, there's a lot of other winners. And this offensive line class in particular is the best offensive line class we've seen in a long time, I think. As I said, 6 or 7 of these offensive linemen probably are perennial all-pros. And I think that there's a ton of guys that stand out at the offensive line position. There isn't necessarily future Hall of Famers I see. I mean, Travis Hunter maybe, Abdul Carter possibly. Maybe some other of the small guys down towards the end of the first round too could have really good careers. There's a lot of great pros in this draft. Don't get it twisted. Just because the quarterback class isn't elite like we've seen before, that doesn't mean everywhere else there isn't elite talent. The running back room is deep. The running back room has 5 or 6 running backs at the top of it that you're like, oh, you know, if this was like 7-8 years ago, they'd be first-round draft picks. So, you know, the value of the running back position's obviously gone down, but now it might be going back up because of Saquon Barkley with that new contract extension. But this class is still deep, regardless. And I think this draft class is sneakily one of the best ones that we could have seen, and maybe the most overlooked draft classes we might see. You know, let's just take a deep breath here. I feel like this is a good spot to kind of take a break in the show. And when we come back, we're going to cover some college basketball. You know, there's one thing I think we can all agree on. This Toledo's men's basketball team, they just got to phone it in for real. Hey. You know, at least the women's team's hooping right now. All that and more when we come back from break. Don't go anywhere. You are watching and listening to the Ball and Beats podcast. Hey, you. Yeah, you.
Me?
Absolutely you.
Hit that subscribe button.
Hit that push notifications bell.
How are you guys not subscribed yet?
It's free.
I mean, what are we doing here? Like,
We don't force you to pay to watch this elite content we bring to you on a weekly basis. So subscribe. You should also follow the social media down below and watch on Spotify too. You might as well follow on both. We have 2 different platforms for you to follow us on, so you might as well do so. Double the beats, double the ball, double the trouble.
if you don't do it, your favorite football team is going to go 0-17 next year.
Just like my team will. Back to the show. Welcome back to episode 130 of the Ball and Beats podcast. All Logans on panel, I think, are doing well. Well, I think we know one of them isn't too happy. Logan? Folks like you guys, you know, none of you guys should be able to have an opinion or a platform. The fact that you do, it's really sad. And it says a lot about society. This guy, dude. This guy. I swear. Why are you even here, bro? I swear, man. Like, we're just going to forget you exist right now, to be honest. And we're just going to have to quickly move into our college basketball talk because we're getting closer to March Madness right now. We're about 2 weeks out. You know, end of the season, you see a bunch of teams. They go on hot streaks going in to the end of the season, go in their conference tournament, and go on Cinderella runs in their conference tournament, make the tournament, then end up making it to March Madness and going on some runs. And there's a lot of really good teams out there right now. And what are some teams we expect to finish this year on a hot streak and probably go farther than people expect in the tournament. I mean, easily the first team that I think of when it comes to, March Madness so far, it has to be the Duke Blue Devils. I mean, they're the best team in the country. They have won their last 3 games by more than 30 points, and they have the best player in the country in Cooper Flagg. You have Cooper Flagg, you can do it all. He leads every statistical category for Duke this season. You look at Auburn, and they've been the more consistent team, and they've also played tougher schedule over the course of the year. And they have the only other player that can make the argument to win Naismith Player of the Year over Cooper Flagg in Johnny Broome. But Duke, they have to be the betting favorite. They have the best player. Cooper Flagg, I'm sorry, Cam. He's not going to be at Duke next season. He's going to be the first overall pick in the draft, like we all know he should be. The Duke is just, they're nasty. They should be in the Final Four. Really should win it all. Duke should win the national championship this season. There's, to me, no other team has Cooper Flagg. There's no way. Cam, you're going to hate me for this. There is no way Duke doesn't win the national championship this season. I would bet the house, the car, the kids on Duke winning the national championship this season. My second team out of the Big East, St. John's, the Red Storm, out of Manhattan. They are balling. Rick Pitino has those guys playing some defense. See, now that's the issue. Offensively, they're not elite. But if they can compete with you on the defensive side of the ball, they can beat anybody. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. And St. John's has one of the best defenses in the country. So does Duke. But St. John's, like I said, no one has Cooper Flagg. But for St. John's to be where they're at, they've won their first outright Big East regular season championship since 1985. Oh, you know who won the championship that year in 1985? Shout out to Villanova Wildcats. But I digress. But yes, Rick Pitino and St. John's, they haven't been at this point. And that's my biggest worry about St. John's. They could be one of those boom and bust teams in this tournament because it's been a long time since St. John's has been this good. Rick Pitino is one of the better coaches in college basketball. Outside the other drama at Louisville when he was there. He did win a national championship that doesn't count anymore there. But St. John's is one of those teams that I feel like is either round of 32 exit or Final Four. There's no in between with the Johnnies. And ironically, the last team I have in here is the Louisville Cardinals. Pat Kelsey, their head coach, I got to give him a lot of credit because they were bottom of the barrel ever since Rick Pitino left and all the sanctions to that program. They're third in the ACC right now. They're 14th in the country. And no one's talking about them because everyone's so focused on SEC basketball. They kind of overlook everybody else across the country right now. And Louisville, they're on a 7-game winning streak. They're getting hot at the right time. My issue is that when they have played the tougher teams earlier on this season, they did lose. And now they've gotten to a lighter load in their schedule, and they're beating on the teams they should. But at the same time, when you lose earlier in the year, and if you have to match up with some of these other teams again, they got the upper hand the first time. Doesn't mean they got it the second time. If you got to play someone twice, it's not always easy. Actually, I lied. I forgot I had one more team to talk about. It's not VCU. Shout out our people behind the scenes. It's not VCU. Got one more team to talk about here for you. That's the UC San Diego Tritons out of the Big West, my love. I can really tell how little research you've done for this, Logan. It just goes to show that just not everyone should be able to have their voices heard. Oh, I did little research for this? All right. Well, we can let that hater talk. But this is about the Tritons, all right? They weren't even a D1 school until 2020, and this year is their first year they're actually eligible to make the NCAA tournament. And they're first. While watching this back in post, I just had to take a quick break because how many times have I licked my lips throughout this episode? Do I do this all the time? Am I an anxious person? Do you guys watch this all the time and you wonder, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Trust me, I'm doing that too while editing this. Now back to the action. In a fun conference. One of the most fun conferences you could watch. UC Davis, UC Irvine, the Gauchos of UC Santa Barbara, Cal State Northridge, Cal State Fullerton. One of the more explosive conferences offensively you can watch in college basketball. And their head coach right now, Eric Olin, he's led this program to unbelievable heights early on in D1, but he's been their head coach for a while, and he was on their coaching staff when they were still a mediocre D2 program. But this team, they're on an 11-game winning streak right now. They're on one of the longer winning streaks in college basketball. Offensively, they're one of the best in the country. Realistically, this is a team, if they lose their conference tournament, they still could possibly get a seed and steal a seed from another really good team. They should be an 11 or 12 seed in this tournament. Another good school, McNeese. But we're not talking about McNeese. We're talking about UC San Diego. And I think this is the team that can make that Sweet 16 Elite 8 run. I think it's possible. Granted, I do feel like they should win their conference tournament just to make sure they get a lock. But if they don't even win their conference, they still could bite somebody and take a seed from them. I like what they got going out there in San Diego, California. The Tritons, man. They're a fun team. They're a fun team, Logan. Can't lie. You know, Logan, I do agree with you for most of these teams, but there are some schools I think you're forgetting about. The first one that comes straight to my mind is the Houston Cougars. Granted, I know that they haven't had a lot of success in March Madness. They get to the Sweet 16 and they choke. They get maybe to an Elite 8 appearance once in a while. They choke. But this school does have pedigree. They have history. And Coach Kelvin Sampson, it seems like this team is finally set and prepared to take that next jump and compete for a national championship. Other schools in the Big 12 this year, they've kind of fallen along the wayside here. Kansas, losing streak, haven't been playing great basketball. Iowa State, their two best players have been out. If they are healthy, and if they can get healthy, Iowa State is dangerous. But Houston looks like the best team in the Big 12, and it's, I don't think, particularly close. Granted, they've always been this good in the regular season. This year feels like the time it can finally translate to the tournament. Staying in the Big 12, though, my second team, the Stormin' Mormons out of Provo, Utah. More Cougars. Brigham Young University. You know, it's their best season they've had as a basketball program in the last decade or so, when Jimmer Fredette was a Cougar at the time. And BYU, you know, they lost their head coach to Kentucky in the offseason, but they have a lot of things to play for. 2026, the number one recruit in the country is staying home in Utah, A.J. DeBansa. He's going to bring a lot more energy to this team even next year. So really, this BYU program as a whole, it almost feels like a year too early for them. Because next year, Provo, Utah basketball is going to be the talk of college basketball next season. But they're already starting it this year. They're probably going to be in that 4 to 6 range in the tournament. And granted, that may give them a tough matchup, first round, that can be sneaky. But I like BYU a lot. They're offensively gifted. They're scoring almost 82 points a game. They mollywopped Kansas a while back. And BYU, they're on a run right now. And they are one of the hottest teams currently in college basketball. And my last team I have is going to the Atlantic 10 here, the Virginia Commonwealth Rams, led by Coach Ryan Odom. If you don't know, UMBC, Virginia, almost a decade ago now. It's kind of crazy to say. 16 seed, upset a 1 for the first time in history. He was the head coach of UMBC at the time, and he's currently the VCU head coach. And, well, they're playing some of their best basketball they've had since the 2011 Final Four team that was led by Coach Shaka Smart, who's now up at Marquette. They're led by this two-guard duo of Joe Bamisili and Max Schluga. They're offensively gifted. They score 35 to 40 points combined for them. And they're one of the best offenses in the country. They're easily the best mid-major school right now. You could argue St. Mary's as well. They're ranked, unlike VCU. But I like VCU a lot. They've been more consistent, I feel like, than St. Mary's. St. Mary's does make the tournament. But VCU, when they are good, they know how to win. And they know how to win big. And I expect Ryan Odom to probably get a Power 5 coaching job somewhere else this season. But VCU, They got a lot more history than people like to give them credit. Y'all know at this point of the show, nobody is watching, right? Like, I'd rather do literally anything else than watch the Ball and Beats podcast. And why should the viewers at home do so? People love to hate on others that simply just got something going good for them. I mean, exactly, Logan. Even though our takes aren't always right, that doesn't mean anyone else who have worked their way up to the top doesn't mean they're always right either. I mean, look at this guy. He said the Tennessee Titans were going to make the playoffs this season. How bad was that? That was awful. But he also got it right about the Washington Commanders. So, to be honest with you, whatever crack pipe you're smoking and hatred that you have against us, we're in the opinion space. That's what this is about. We give our opinion. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. I don't care. We don't care. We got to start somewhere, right? Only way to go is up. We know why, okay? We know why. Because just like the TikTok commenters, you just simply cannot keep us out of your mouth. Ooh, get burned, scrub. Logan, the truth is, what you and those people on social media want to say about us, we simply don't care. We simply do not care. And to be honest with you, stuff that you guys say, it almost helps us out. It helps us understand where we can get better. So quite honestly, I thank you for your hatred. Now, Logan, if you really have a problem with us, you can just leave right now. The door's that way. You are right, to be honest. Wow. Oh my God. He's going to say it. Guys, I just remember the glory days, I used to have this podcast of my own. It was called the Beats and Ball Podcast. We talked about all music and just a little bit of sports, because no one really cares about sports. Basically, the reverse Ball and Beats, right? Yes, I suppose. I had all of this just mapped out in my head. It was going to be something special. I had a lot of great segments for the show, We would start off the show by just talking about all new music releases and, just why Polo G is the best rapper of this generation. He may be a hater, but at least he gets it, Sounds intriguing. Keep on going. Then after that, another segment I thought to do was a music trivia segment. I don't know how I feel about that. Then to end the show, I would do the Dilly Mid-Off. Hold on. Dilly Mid-Off? You talking 2K? Why that name? Well, just like the University of Michigan football, 2K Dilly is. Don't you dare disrespect 2K Dilly like that. All right? Man, I know, you're right. I'm just salty, man. I give up. I just want to be in your guys' shoes and have your own platform. I tried, and I couldn't do it. You know what, Logan? That's okay. Because here's the truth of the matter. Everyone can have their own platform. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to strive for greatness. You have to put in that work, Everyone has a dream. But the truth of the matter is, dreams are just dreams. If you don't wake up from them. What the does that even mean? The point I'm trying to make to you here, Logan, is that literally anybody can do this. You just have to apply yourself. You got to work at it. Nothing's gifted to you. Everything. Hold on. The point I'm trying to make here to you, Logan, is literally anybody can do this. You just have to apply yourself, and you got to work at it. Dreams are just dreams if you don't wake up from them. You know what, Logan? What's that, Logan? You're right. I just have to actually put in the work and believe in myself, and all things can be possible. Nothing is impossible. You know what? I needed this. Ironically. Thank you, guys. Oh, wow. I'm honestly stunned. You have been the biggest BNB hater. And now everything else is just fine now? Sometimes, Logan, you just need advice. Just realize that, in a lot of ways, we're all just the same. Striving for greatness, and all of you out there, you should too. Having a backbone behind you and people in your corner that believe in you, it helps out, but without your own self-belief in yourself, you'll never get anything done. It's crazy. I had no clue we would have an epiphany on the Ball and Beats podcast. Hold on. It's obvious. He needs this right now. Let's let him speak. Look, guys, I'm sorry about all the previous hate I spewed your guys' way. You didn't really deserve any of it. I was just mad that my dream, it didn't come true. But you guys have shown me just because it hasn't come true yet doesn't mean it won't. And I thank you. You know what, Logan? For all the others that can't be here right now, we appreciate it. We appreciate it a lot. You know what, folks? Lesson learned. Follow your passions. Strive for greatness. And hard work, it always pays off. That's going to wrap up this unique and special episode of the Ball and Beats podcast. We appreciate all of you who support us out there, and we look forward to bringing more content to you guys. Remember to like the video. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Follow us on our social media pages, our Instagram and our TikTok page. And, keep on looking out for future videos. We're going to keep bringing a lot more content to you guys, not just on YouTube, but on other platforms as well. And for all the BNB crew out there, here and not here, signing off. We'll see you guys next week. Take care and peace.